Tonight on CTV News at 5.
Making a false report is a crime, and so these are being investigated in that sense.
False alarms, prank calls are no laughing matter for first responders.
Ash has been part of the business since she was old enough to talk. So she kind of knew everything that was going on. Owning a small business means it's part of your whole life.
The Right Fit, a maritime family, has been in the orthotics business for 5 generations.
Like the DeLorean, it's kind of got the same shape, same appeal. It's a 2-seater, rear-mounted engine.
And Back to the Future, a Cape Breton man makes DeLorean dreams come true.
Rain continues to move across the Maritimes tonight. A chilly fall day follows for tomorrow.
Live from the Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 5.
Good evening and welcome to CTV News at 5. I'm Maria Panopalis. Thanks for joining us. First at 5 tonight, false alarms. First responders will always show up to a 911 call, but not every call is a real cry for help. From prank calls to accidental iPhone crash alerts, police and fire officials in Nova Scotia are raising awareness about these missed dials and misleads. As CTV's Vanessa Wright shows us, they tie up vital resources and could land you in a lot of trouble.
Police say calls they received recently are no laughing matter.
Some people may consider it a funny prank, but it's not.
On Saturday, RCMP sent crews out to a home in Cambridge, Nova Scotia, after someone called to report gunshots. When officers arrived, they learned it was a false call. Just 1 hour later, officers were called back to that same home to help fire services investigate a call about an illegal burn. That, too, police say, was a lie.
One of the issues is that it is a criminal offense. Making a false report is a crime, and so these are being investigated in that sense. But the bigger issue is that it takes resources and tools away from places where they're needed and sends them to places where they're not.
Fire crews in Annapolis County are seeing a different rise in false reports. They've been getting more iPhone crash alerts. It's a feature that automatically dials 911 when your phone senses it's been in an accident. But officials say more times than not, it's a false alarm.
You know, some people leave their phones on top of the roof or their trunk or whatever and drive off, and we're out looking for an accident scene and there isn't any. But we do find your phone.
In those cases, it's technology making an incorrect claim, but it can still have an impact.
We really have to be mindful of our resources and how limited they are now, especially with EHS, RCMP, the volunteer firefighters. We have to utilize everything that we have now to the maximum amount that we can do without creating a more of a hindrance or a burden on these agencies that are taking care of us.
Police are encouraging people to report real emergencies to 911. It's the false calls they're warning will not be tolerated. RCMP say if someone is considering making a false call,
consider that there could be significant consequences in terms of potential criminal charges, in terms of safety issues. It's not something that's funny, and it's not a laughing matter at all for the people at those locations or whatever first responders are going to those calls.
Counting on the public to make the right call. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you, Vanessa, with an important reminder this evening. All right, time to head over to the anchor desk where Bruce Frisco is standing by with a look at the day's headlines. Hi there, Bruce.
Hey, Maria. Nova Scotia RCMP today saying the latest search for Jack and Lily Sullivan failed to turn up any new clues. You may remember they brought in cadaver dogs from Western Canada. The dogs combed a 40-kilometer area in and around the children's home in Lansdowne Station. Kids have been missing for more than 5 months. We'll have the latest tonight on CTV News at 6. New Brunswick government unveiling a new 5-year health plan today. It outlines goals and how progress will be measured in 6 key areas. Coming up at 6, CTV's Avery McRae will break down all the details for us. And also tonight, we'll meet the Maritime's newest millionaires. Here they are, Gary and Sharon Westhaver from the Miramichi area, picking up a check for a cool $15 million today. The couple say they've got some big plans for the money, but won't really change their lives that much. We'll hear all the details tonight on CTV News at 6. And now we're all kind of winners because it's raining outside and the rain is going to get heavier overnight.
Yeah, that's right. We certainly need this wet weather that's still making its way across parts of the Maritimes. It's been in place for New Brunswick for much of the day, moved into Prince Edward Island, and will continue to move into areas of Nova Scotia that haven't gotten into the wet weather yet. Pretty easy to see on our current temperature map the progress of the cold front across the Maritime region. New Brunswick very much on the cooler western side of that front now. Same thing goes for parts of the west of Prince Edward Island, whereas the east of Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia still on the warmer eastern side of that front. Temperatures there in the high teens, low 20s. We're in behind the front. They've cooled down towards the low teens. And yes, that front is going to bring us a cool to chilly brand of fall weather for the end of this week. Wind direction, of course, changes around the front as well. In behind that front, winds are becoming northwest. Ahead of it, the winds mostly out of the south and southwest. Certainly on the gusty side for today, though, with gusts between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour. The gusts will diminish a bit as the wind becomes northwest across the entirety of the Maritimes tonight, but then picks back up again for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be blustery. Already have some rainfall amounts reported in parts of New Brunswick in the range of around 10 to 30 millimeters. Similar rainfall amounts expected as this band of wet weather makes its way across PEI and Nova Scotia. I'll have more on the forecast, so a little bit later on. Maria.
I've never been so happy to see rain, Kaylin. Thank you so much. We'll see Kaylin in just a bit. Right now, though, first time we're going to take a break here on CTV News at 5. Stay with us. When we come back, it runs in the family.
Hi, I'm McConvey here in Bedford, Nova Scotia. Coming up on CTV News at 5, keeping the traditions going. In light of World Podiatry Day, an orthotics and podiatry clinic in Bedford is celebrating more than that, but a legacy. I'll have more on this 5-generation business coming up.
Since 1964, Christmas Daddies has been raising money for maritime children. You support the cause when you buy a 2026 Christmas Daddies calendar with big squares for busy schedules. Get yours today at any Giant Tiger location in the Maritimes.
Welcome back. So today is World Podiatry Day, and for one maritime family, the occasion is extra special. As CTV's Emma Convey shows us, their orthotics and podiatry clinic is part of a story that's been carried forward for 5 generations.
As a young girl, Natasha Pirouet loved visiting her father's shoe repair shop. The smell of leather and seeing all the tools was fascinating. Today, she's carrying on that legacy, now as the 5th generation in the family business.
You know, it makes me emotional. You know, it's just, this is how they raised me and my brother, and now I'm raising my son in the same business, so it's just...
The roots trace back to Cape Breton, where Pirouet's great-great-grandfather first began the trade. Over time, her father, Tom Shabib, transitioned it into orthotics and podiatry, moving the business to Bedford Sunnyside Mall in '91.
My great-grandfathers immigrated from Lebanon in 1903 as a shoemaker, and evolved into shoe repair as shoemaking kind of went more central with factories. So yeah, I left Cape Breton in 1985, and here I am.
What started as a small repair shop has grown into a full clinic offering custom orthotics and podiatry services. Natasha took the reins last year and has a current team of 14, a demand that continues to grow with every generation.
When my dad first started making orthotics, he was probably making a couple pair a week, maybe 5 to 6 pairs a week. Now we're looking at about 50 to 75 pairs a week.
And while each generation has brought their own innovations, one tradition has never changed: honesty.
I've brought a lot of new technology into the business. We switched some of our different technology providers. I did expand and develop the store a little bit to be able to add the 4th podiatrist, so we went through some renovations.
For Tom Shabib, watching his daughter carry on the legacy is more than just business. It's an undescribable sense of pride.
That is as good as it gets, as good as it gets. I know if Dad was still alive, he would be so proud, so proud. It's a family heritage that just keeps on going, and yeah, I'm pretty proud.
With young kids in the family, the hope is that the tradition will continue. A heritage built on craftsmanship, care, and community, one step at a time. Emma Convey, CTV News, Bedford, Nova Scotia.
Well, congratulations. What a wonderful family business you've built, and happy Podiatry Day.
They've got that business well underfoot.
Oh, yeah. Very good. And that's what you've got with the weather forecast.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know he had some gusty winds today. I mentioned that when we were taking a look at weather conditions in the Maritimes a little bit earlier on, shaking the trees around a little bit, maybe knocking a few leaves loose. I'll have more in the forecast, including the rain still moving in after the break.
Start your morning with us for what you need to start your day. News, weather, and even a little fun. Your Morning Atlantic with Amanda Devison, Crystal Garrett, and Latavia Beezer. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on CTV2 and CTVAtlantic.ca.
Welcome back. Kaylin Mitchell joins us once again. And Kaylin, you're telling me I might need my rain jacket tomorrow.
That's right. Certainly, there will be some lingering showers for parts of the Maritimes on Thursday, though the bulk of the rain is moving through tonight. Let's take a look at our sunrise and sunset times. We'll talk more details about that wet weather. We're looking out at Rockwood Park in St. John. You can see some cloudy conditions there. Maybe this happening in between breaks in the rain, but there was certainly some rain that went through the St. John area at times. There was even a small little thunderstorm that was pretty close to the city. Well, let's take a look at our weather systems map. So as we talked about yesterday, this wet weather is coming in along with a cold front with an area of low pressure that is crossing the maritime region. New Brunswick already onto the cooler western side of that front, and PEI and Nova Scotia will be getting onto the cooler side of the front as we move through tonight. Before that happens, though, this wet weather is going to continue to move through. Now, within the general area of rain, there are a couple locations where there might be some downpours present, at least for this evening. You want to be watching for maybe a few of those downpours around Moncton, the southeast, Prince Edward Island, northern areas of Nova Scotia, Cumberland, Colchester counties, Hants County, and maybe even a few parts of the Annapolis Valley. That could reduce visibility if you're out driving around in that wet weather, and may increase the chances of there being some hydroplaning conditions developing on the roads. Now, that wet weather is still going to continue to fill in towards the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia and eastern parts of the province as we continue through this evening and tonight. And once again, it is bringing in, or expected to bring in, some general rainfall amounts of between 10 and 30 millimeters. Now, moving into the overnight hours, so past midnight, that rain begins to clear off towards the east. Cape Breton will be last out of the rain. They'll clear it early in the morning hours of Thursday. But in behind that front, with some cooler air in place and a gusty north and northwest wind for tomorrow, there are expected to be some scattered showers that develop for Prince Edward Island throughout the day and around northern eastern areas of Nova Scotia, including the North Shore and Cape Breton. And there will also be a chance some isolated showers through northern areas of New Brunswick. The remainder of the Maritimes with a mix of sun and cloud and significantly cooler temperatures compared to what we had at the start of this week. We went from high temperatures on Monday, mid to high 20s, even a few near 30 degrees, to high temperatures tomorrow that'll be mostly in the range of 8 to 13 degrees for the Maritimes. Here's a look at that change in the wind direction. So coming up for Thursday, winds out of the northwest. They're still going to be gusty. You'll notice the winds tomorrow. They'll have some gusts up between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight will be chilliest for the province of New Brunswick. Many communities seeing lows fall into a range of 3 to 6 degrees, between -1 and 3 degrees in the northwest of New Brunswick. And then for Prince Edward Island tonight, a lot of low temperatures falling between 6 and 9 degrees. And for Nova Scotia tonight, most lows between 6 and 10. Highs in the forecast for Thursday between 8 and 13 degrees for New Brunswick, around 8 to 10 degrees for Prince Edward Island, including 9 at Charlottetown, and most of the high temperatures for Nova Scotia between 10 and 13. Likewise, it is going to be a brisk fall day on Friday around the Maritimes. We do have high pressure returning, so it'll be a little bit sunnier than Thursday, and the winds will ease a little bit. Most of the high temperatures will be topping out around the low to mid-teens, which is pretty seasonable for this time of the year. All right, let's take a look at our Weather Watcher for tonight. And tonight's Weather Watcher is coming in from Esther. And Esther has sent us a drawing of being out on a sunny day. She loves summer because she can spend lots of time playing with her friends. Thank you, Esther. And if you'd like to be one of your Weather Watchers, they can come into CTV Weather Watchers, P.O. Box 1653, Halifax, Nova Scotia, B3J2Z4, or email kaylin.mitchell@bellmedia.ca. Maria.
Thank you, Kaylin. So we have big news for maritimers who dream of a tropical escape. New nonstop flights between Halifax and Nassau take off this December. The Bahamas Deputy Prime Minister is in our region this week, and CTV's Katie Kelly had a conversation with him about why now is the perfect time to visit.
So tell me what brings you to Halifax today.
Well, we're doing a bit of a tour across Canada. This is our second mission. We're spreading the good news of the Bahamas, how easy, how accessible it is, how close it is to Canada, only 3 hours away, and just offshore from Florida, less than 50 miles from Florida. So Canadians looking for alternatives, Bahamas is open and welcoming.
Yes, and there's soon going to be a direct flight.
Absolutely, there are going to be 2 direct services. Firstly, non-stop from Halifax to Nassau. We're going to have Port Airlines as well as Air Canada. Beginning in December, this is going to be really fantastic. Canada has already a great relationship with the Bahamas. We've had a Ministry of Tourism office here since 1968.
Wow.
Air Canada has been going from Canada to the Bahamas now for 70 years. And we're building on this relationship. Of course, we have a big diaspora here in the Maritimes. And of course, there's a big Canadian diaspora in the Bahamas doing investments or snowbirds coming just to spend 6 months out of the year. But there's already a great connection, and we're making it easier. We have 45 flights a week from Canada to the Bahamas, and we're really excited about the possibilities there, making it easier to access not just the beach, but our culture, our heritage, our music, our food, our arts. We're making it easy for Canadians to go to the Bahamas.
Yeah, I think I read that travel from Canada to the Bahamas is up like 50% in the last couple of years?
50% year over year, but guess what? Out of Nova Scotia, it's 85% up.
Wow.
So Canadians are truly rediscovering the islands of the Bahamas, and Halifax and Nova Scotia regions, they're leading the way. We have a great product. We have 16 island destinations. Nassau Paradise Island is the destination that people know a lot. It's still beautiful, but we have many others. If you're interested in adventure, you can go to Grand Bahama, boating, yachting, diving, the Exumas. If you want to do fly fishing or game fishing, you have Rum Cay, San Salvador. If you want to do nothing at all, we have an island for that as well. But the Bahamas really is a magnificent place, an archipelago spread over 100,000 square miles of the most magnificent water and beauty on planet Earth.
Oh, I love everything you're saying. Listen, I know you lived here in the Maritimes for a while. You went to school at Acadia?
Acadia University, yes.
So you know Nova Scotia, you know the Maritimes, you know the people, you know how great the people are.
Indeed.
I've been to the Bahamas, and I know how great the people are, and I think that's another big piece of this, too, is that the people there are just so awesome, right?
I know the winters as well.
We won't talk about that.
The Bahamas is a warm place, both in terms of temperature, but also its people. We're a hospitable country, hospitable people. We look forward to welcoming you next week and Canadians generally.
I'm going to be heading there in just over a week's time. One of our lucky viewers is going to have the opportunity to win a trip to the Bahamas very soon and experience all those things that you talked about. So we can't wait for that, and we can't wait for those direct flights, making it even easier to visit such a beautiful place.
Can't wait to see you there.
Yes.
And all the other Nova Scotians.
Yeah. And all of the Maritimes.
Indeed,
can't
yes.
wait.
Oh, what a gorgeous place. Magnificent and beautiful, as he said, one of the most gorgeous places on planet Earth. And you heard it, the cat's out of the bag. In the coming weeks, CTV News at 5, in partnership with Bahamas Tourism, will send a lucky pair of viewers to visit that gorgeous place. Katie Kelly will head there in advance to check it out and give you a preview of what you will experience. Stay tuned for that. All right, we're going to take a little break here on CTV News at 5. When we come back, though, it's all about DeLorean dreams coming true.
I'm Ryan McDonald on the Membertou First Nation, where though it's the fall of 2025, we're going to take you back to 1985 with this homemade rendition of a DeLorean. We're going back to the future, or is it the past? Coming up in a bit.
Welcome back. So we wrap up tonight by going back to the future. As CTV's Ryan McDonald shows us, a Cape Breton man has turned an old car into his own rendition of the movie's famous DeLorean.
It's a vehicle that doesn't just make you feel nostalgic, it almost seems like it could quite literally take you back in time.
My little fellas and I just one day said, let's do something fun for Halloween.
The plan was to do the best they could to recreate the time-traveling DeLorean from the Back to the Future movies. A few years ago, John Nolan of Catalone, Nova Scotia, purchased this old Pontiac Fiero.
Like the DeLorean, it's kind of got the same shape, same appeal. It's a two-seater, rear-mounted engine.
Then he and his young sons got to work, giving it a new aluminum paint job and decorating it with whatever they could find in thrift stores and at the curbs during the annual heavy garbage pickup.
And just made a little collection, put it all together, put it out by the road, and it was a big hit. Lots of people stopped, a lot of smiles. You know, it looked really cool at night when we lit it up.
Not only does it look ready for liftoff after dark, but it has all the bells and whistles that any time traveler might need.
We had to make that because no time machine is complete without its hoverboard. And we just used an old snowboard. My little fellas painted that.
Now here's a fun fact. While the original Back to the Future movie came out in 1985 and the controls inside the DeLorean were set for that same year, I asked how old this old Pontiac Fiero happens to be. Turns out, it's a 1984. Only recently, the creator of this makeshift DeLorean decided to sell it to another fan of all things retro who lives here in Membertou.
The sales pitch was, I told the fellow that it was only used from time to time, so I don't think that I was stretching the truth too much with it.
In the end, it's a nice homage to a classic movie.
I remember going to the theater with my father, and I just didn't think I'd be building one and put it in my front yard years later.
From 1985 to 2025, it's a journey that took this man back to the future and beyond. Ryan McDonald, CTV News on the Membertou First Nation.
40 years later, and that car still has a place in all of our hearts, doesn't it?
I have to remember to watch that movie with my son to make sure the DeLorean stays iconic for the next generation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Well done. Very well done. All right, Kaylin, we are expecting some rain and not complaining about it, actually.
So if you're in parts of Nova Scotia, the wet weather hasn't shown up quite yet, but it will continue to move in as we go through tonight. And then it clears out, and then temperatures really cool down, especially compared to the start of this week.
Time for your boots and sweaters.
Thursday and Friday, that's right. Sweater weather finally. Details 6.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. The National News.